Hey everybody, it's Brendon Burchard. I'm back in the big studio and fired up about an awesome session today. We have a huge curriculum today to help you learn how to think through what things hurt you in the short term or help you, and what things are really the things that are setting you up for longer term success. I don't know about you, but there was a big part of my life where I was too sort of impulse driven. You know, that part of you when you're in high school or in your 20s or early 30s that a lot of it's just like, oh, what do I think will feel good? Or I want to try everything. And you kind of, you're driven so much by just in the moment decisions based on your comfort and like what your interests are, that sometimes it actually costs you from building something that will give you fulfillment, from creating the lifestyle that you really want to have, from building wealth to building the right relationships, to just having sanity in your life. I don't know about you, but my 20s, there was no sanity in my 20s. My 20s were just like go, at the cost of health, relationships, like just constant stress, anxiety, fear. And at some point you have to realize that's a choice. It's a choice based on what you're saying yes to and what you're failing to say no to. And often with my highest level coaching clients, and some of you guys know I'm blessed to have multiple 7-figure coaching clients who I just spend the year with, almost always the highest level people that I get to work with, they're really struggling with these types of decisions. These are really big topics for today. Let's jump in. Short term versus long term. The first thing that we tend to do in the short term, and many of you guys ask me this question every single month, is we tend to value and prioritize stability. And funny enough, it seems like something we would all want, right? We know from human behavior and human motivation studies that people want, safety, they want belonging, they want sustenance, they want shelter, and all these things are things of like, oh, this is stability. I know what my day is gonna be like, or even if there's uncertainty there, because I don't really believe in people who perpetuate certainty, because there's no such thing as having total certainty in ourselves or others if we can remain humble and open to the world. And the more that we want certainty and want to grab it all the time, the more we tend to lose the pop and the vibrancy of life, and the more we're disappointed all the time, because nothing is ever perfect. But what we do want is stability. Big difference, right? Certainty, I need to know exactly what's going on. Stability, there's a lot going on here, but I feel safe and secure and stable. And so this is a good thing. And often people make choices in the short term for stability. They're like, oh, well, I guess I better get a job, I better, be nice to this person so they don't go crazy on me. These are things that we do in our life, taking a certain job, staying a certain job, treating people in a certain way so they don't leave us, so that we have a sense of stability. So it's not a negative thing, and I don't want any of these necessarily to feel like I'm saying they're all negative. But what happens is they tend to turn negative if they're a consistent thinking pattern or a consistent value ethic that we have to have. And let me give you an example here on stability. And this is specifically related to you guys because you ask me about this every month. You say, well, Brendon, I'm thinking about quitting my job, but I haven't done it yet. Can you give me confidence? Or when would you do it? Or how would you recommend I go into that transition? I hear that all the time for you guys in this community, like, how do I switch careers? When do I switch careers? And the reason that we don't want to do it often is because we're seeking stability, and it's scary, right? Quitting a job, leaving an environment, breaking up with a relationship. I mean, how many of you guys down below, by like a show of hands down below, if you just like type in the emoji of like hands like this, how many of you have ever stayed in a relationship too dang long? You were in a relationship too long because you just wanted this, or you wanted to please somebody who wanted this. And so they wanted this, or you wanted this. So in the short term, you kept compromising. You kept settling for something that was less than you. You kept allowing behavior that was not right? And that was just, you need to know that short-term stability-seeking things tends to really hurt us when that short-term value ethic, I need stability, plays out month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year. One day you wake up and you look back at the last 5 years and you're like, oh my God, I've been stuck in something I didn't want to be in, but I didn't have the guts to leave. And what I tell people is, you know what, it's not always a lack of courage that prevented you from going, though we can talk about that. It's often that you just overvalued stability. Does that make sense? I mean, we're in a world right now where everyone says, if you don't do something, well, you're a chicken, you're crap, what's wrong with you? You have no courage. And I'm like, it's stop just going to people's character like that, right? It's like, well, this must be wrong. They're just weak-willed humans. They lack courage. And it's like, God, calm down, guy. Get off the caffeine and let's just have a conversation. Because what happens is most bad decisions you've made isn't because you lack good qualities. It's because you overvalued something for too long. And often you overvalued something good for too long. Meaning, often people don't leave a relationship or a bad career because it's not they're lacking good qualities, they're overvaluing stability. It's a short-term thing they're trying to get, but it became a long-term strategy. Does this make sense? So they valued stability so long, it overcame other values that would have helped them have more freedom. And see, it's almost like the opposite, and that's what I want to point out today. Like, if we keep seeking stability over and over and over and over and over again, eventually we end up in stuff that we don't ask to grow or get better. We won't rock the boat. We won't leave things because we need to feel so stable. And then that comes often at the cost of our long-term value that we need to be seeking, which is fulfillment, right? It's almost like there is a polarity here. I don't want to say it's like one and another. It's more like a pendulum. And what's happening sometimes for people is they're so far in stability, they're not asking, what would really fulfill me? And what would really bring me alive? What would make me feel connected and happy? So think about it. If you're in a place where you're always seeking stability and you're making compromises for that because you don't want to rock the boat, don't want to upset people, don't want to take risk, OMG, then you never ask the bigger question, the longer term stuff, well, what would make me feel fulfilled? See, sometimes we need to move away from stability for moments and move towards fulfillment. And this is how I would get to this question you always ask me about jobs and relationships in this community. And when I think about okay, how do you leave a job? I'll tell you exactly what I did when, many of you guys know my story is becoming a writer. When I was at Accenture, which was a consulting company I worked for 7 years, it was very stable, which is funny. What it meant was it was stable because I got a paycheck all the time, but it was not stable for my mind. It was almost like I valued the wrong thing. I valued that stable paycheck, but for my mind, it was not a healthy job. I was in 16 cities, every single quarter. I was all over the place. It was working every single day for 6 years straight till midnight, 2 a.m, always being on call, 24/7, 7 days a week for 6 years straight, while traveling Monday through Thursday through different cities into different organizations where there was no clear mission or clear boss or clear real goals except for little projects, but there was no values to what I felt like I was doing. But sure, why did I make it there 6 years when the whole time I want to be a writer? What would bring me heart and joy would be the fulfillment of writing and coaching. Why did I take that long to leave? Because I overvalued this and I undervalued that. So I kept protecting this and not acting towards that. Protecting this and failing to act towards that. And so one day I had to get real with it and I said, okay, I gotta make the switch a little bit here. And what I decided to do is I said, I wonder if I can put myself out there as a speaker, as a coach, as a writer, and I wonder if I could figure out a way that I would know that would probably make that career, now we just call it the influencer career, used to be just thought leader or expert career, but I was like, I wonder if I could earn 20, 25% as a writer or a speaker on the side over here. And if I could get that, just kind of do it on the side, well then that would be just enough to meet my need for stability, but really serve my senses of fulfillment. And I could step away from this thing that I think adds stability. And because if I'm spending full time over here in this career, but I know I can see I can earn like even 20%, 30% over here, I'd be willing to leave that, jump over here, because if I gave my full-time efforts over here, it would build up. And that was my assumption and my way of thinking. And I'm not making that my recommendation to anybody here, because 20% was arbitrary. You might want 40% or 50%. You might have family. You might have higher, obligations, debts, challenges, more responsibilities than I did when I made that decision in my, mid-20s or late 20s. But I think that's really important to hear. Often we get stuck in valuing a good thing, stability, at the cost of the long term. This is the most important thing today. Almost always, your sense of need to feel safe, secure, things are going good, things are predictable. I mean, it's why people won't leave even horrible situations, abusive relationships, terrible, unfulfilling jobs. They don't walk away because they're like, well, at least I know this, right? That old thing, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So they stay with the devil they know. And the sad thing is they assume everything's a devil. And they don't realize that sometimes after that transition, we can find new areas of opportunity. After that transition, when we go into new things, more positive relationships can open up, more opportunities to lead, more opportunities to serve, more opportunities to love and feel. Is there anything you have been putting up with too long? Is there anything you've been putting up with too long? Bad job, bad relationship, even for yourself, bad habits just because you know what they are. I'm just trying to say, in our human psychology, stability is a big driver that often keeps us put. This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.